We'll talk about the Manchester City situation because they've basically been reprimanded and the Premier League have said, you guys have been breaking the rules, yada, yada, yada. And was anyone here surprised that...
Do you know what surprised me? I was asking myself in this 4.5-year investigation, and I've followed this into their Spiegel links and stuff like that. Will the Premier League have the stomach for this? Is it in their interest to actually hold them to account? Because we've seen, and Manchester City love to say that they were proved innocent in the Court of Arbitration for Sport. They weren't. It was time barred. It was other information. But I'm actually pleasantly surprised. When I woke up that morning and I seen 100 and something charges, I just thought, oh, here we go. Here we go. It's justice.
Yeah, I mean, my first thought was 100. Like, that's a lot to get wrong. For you guys to be innocent of 100? Do you know what I mean? Like, if this was a court of law and your mate was going,
like
you'd be like, 100 charges?
Chelsea got transfer banned for 2.
Yeah.
So now we're looking at 100 charges and, defending every... And the arrogance of City is what gets me. It's like, we welcome this. We're looking forward to proving it. Come on.
They'll be it.
I've got to kind of give credit, to that, arsehole attitude of, we welcome this. Like, you don't welcome this. What are you talking about?
But what else can they say?
Yeah, but just to even have the goal, even
you see who their lawyer is, right?
I was about to say. Have you seen? I was just about to say.
Their lawyer's the guy that negotiated Brexit or whatever it was. This guy's not a game.
Apparently, their lawyer's on the same wages as Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, he's
Can you believe it?
10 grand an hour.
Yeah, 80 grand a day this man is working at. I should have been a lawyer. What the fuck?
Yeah, honestly.
Some of the info I've got written down here. Man City have spent 2.1 billion in 14 years. There's rumours that they could get relegated, dock points, yada, yada, yada.
No chance.
Some of the accusations, a lack of cooperation, not providing full details. And, the Mancini wages, for example, very strange how he was getting paid his wages. And then his company was getting paid almost the same exact amount of money as his wages for 4 days of advising a year.
I'll put it this way, Brian. They're a club that are new rich. There's no way that they can go into the marketplace. You're a YouTuber, you're a Twitch streamer, you know yourself. Your market value is what dictates your corporate sponsorships and what you can get. They don't have the reach around the world. They keep extending a stadium they can't fill.
Yeah.
It's a house of cards, and somebody has to call this out. And I'm glad that the Premier League have the stomach for the fight, and I'm glad that City can't go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport for this because of the Premier League rules.
Well, they're currently actually making more money in terms of making more money than any club in the world, basically.
And we're supposed to ignore the email that came from one of the Manchester City higher ups to one of their sponsors that said the 99 million that you guys are owed, 91 million of that will be coming from the Sheikh and the other 8 million will be paid by the airline. And we're supposed to just ignore all of this.
Yeah.
Their arrogance in those leaked emails as well, speaking about, well, we can do what we want.
I'm going to be 100% transparent. I have a series coming up with Man City, so I have nothing but great things to say about it. This fantastic club. It's a great club.
You're going to hate me by the end of the night.
I love them.
We'll leave you out of this,
very much.
I genuinely believe as well. I don't think the Premier League have the bottle to punish Man City the way everyone thinks they will be punished. I don't think it's in their best interest.
I think it is because of the powerful clubs that are behind wanting them punished.
There is that as well, but then at the same time, I think more so, I'm looking more from an angle of, okay, so you've brought it to the public's light that there's 100 charges. Okay, so now we're now all aware. Are you really going to relegate Man City? You're probably not going to do that. Are you going to duck points? You're not going to do it this season. Are you going to do it next season? Have we ever seen that in the Premier League in the last 25 years?
We've never seen this before.
But we've had Chelsea do a few sus things as well in situations where they should have been deducted points, because you look at situations with Juventus and they've
The difference is the Chelsea thing happened kind of before there was even rules for this. The whole reason that these rules were brought in was kind of because of a Chelsea, and City went and broke every single one.
But then are Man City now going to be made the example? I just don't think the Premier League are going to go, you know what, next season 15 points deduction, or they're definitely not going to relegate.
I think some of this is performative, and I
definitely think it is.
I think that they're aware that they'll probably get their ninja lawyer to escape all of this.
They'll probably get a January transfer ban. They'll probably have to have a cap in the summer, and that's probably about it. They're not going to do anything extreme because money talks. But
how disgusting is that? This isn't what's right and wrong anymore. It's what I can afford and who I can get to defend me.
Exactly.
What loophole I can exploit.
Exactly.
That's life, though.
Yeah,
That's life outside of football.
But see, here's the thing. Here's the hypocrisy of the sport then, because we're supposed to believe it's a sport with morals that's supposed to teach people values and it's supposed to educate and bring the world together. But the real life aspect is the clubs are just not as clean as we think that they are.
And you're right, but that went out of football years ago. That ideology
after Roman
But
showed
that
up.
doesn't mean that we have to just accept it and just go, well, that's it, the sport's gone.
But I think more
Football's a business today. It's not about the integrity of the sport, unfortunately. We've got so many things going on. Even like, look at the World Cup.
Okay, you said
Taking place
it's
in
a
Qatar.
business.
Yeah.
Craig, you said it's a business, right? There's no jeopardy for Manchester City's owners. Any other business has to make profits. Any other business has to be sustainable. There has to be jeopardy. There's no jeopardy for them. They don't care if they lose money. They're funded by a state.
They've kind of brought in, and that kind of brings into question, is there any point in FFP anymore when all people are doing is finding ways around this? And the ones who can find ways around it are the rich guys like the Chelseas who can do a 7-8 year contract. Whereas it's kind of only hurting the little guys who want to kind of challenge those big teams now, because if you are a smaller club, I mean, let's take Newcastle as an example. We were bought by the richest people in the world, but yet we're having to move as slow as possible because we're adhering to the rules, those rules that Man City didn't adhere to, ironically, because we don't want to be in this situation later. And the reality is that going to benefit us? Probably not.
You'll get the pat in the back and the well done, boys, though.
Yeah.
You good job.
But I'd rather break the rules and be Premier League champions.
It's a really interesting one with FFP, because where do you draw the line? I mean, personally, I don't like the idea of any state owning a football club. I'm massively against that. I guess it's not only, Brian, can they implement FFP, but can they enforce FFP? If they can find a way to actually enforce it, because the Court of Arbitration for Sport look like they've overturned almost every case that I've heard over the past 10 years that has gone before them. So what's interesting about the Manchester City charges is there is no avenue for them outside of an appeal to a separate committee. They can't go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport because of the Premier League rules. They also don't have any right to be just relegated and put into the Championship. The National League, the Football League, don't have to accept them if they're relegated.
Yeah.
It's really crazy.
Personally, when this all started happening and City went crazy and became like that superpower, that immovable object where it took Jurgen Klopp in 5 years of perfection to just take one title off of them, I was very frustrated. But I'm now at a point where, and a lot of people say, oh, coincidentally, now Newcastle are state-owned. But I'm now looking at it like, well, what is the point in the only way to make this kind of fair is to just do away with it all and go, right, because you're getting Manchester United about to be bought out. Liverpool are probably going to be bought by a huge state-owned company or a rich wealthy owner. You've got Chelsea spending money like crazy. The horse is kind of bolted here. Having one superpower who've managed to play the game and get themselves out of trouble, I'd rather see us do away with the rules and let everyone have the same rights as each other, instead of it being a case of, oh, Chelsea found this loophole, or City have been very clever and hidden. And for some, like the idea that Man City's wage bill is less than Liverpool's is laughable.
It really is.
It's absolutely laughable.
You had issues with the Super League. You had that coming in because we can see where it's football.
Because rich men who are buying these clubs want to be able to do what they want.
It's becoming a franchise. It's becoming a franchise.
But they can't do what they want officially unless they find those loopholes. But they're finding those loopholes anyway. So who are we kidding?
So this is all well and good till someone goes out of business, because it's all great when there's shiny new toys and everyone's happy with it and they're throwing money at it. What if Qatar get bored? What if they just go, oh, don't need this? And we've seen it with Malaga. We've seen it with other football clubs. And that debt is left on the football club.
Well, that is the official reason why FFP is worthy of having, is you don't want to see club. But the reality of Newcastle holding back spending in case we go out of business when we're owned by the PIF is, I mean, it just feels like it's a one-size-fits-all rule. And I think that clubs in the football, in the Championship, for example, you kind of need different rules to be applied to when you're talking about Elon Musk wanting to buy Manchester United. It doesn't really feel like he should be adhering to the same rules as Brentford's owner, for example. I don't know. And that sort of brings us on to what we think should happen to Manchester
Relegation.
City.
Relegation.
Really?
Or to who? Man City?
To Man City.
Are we all in agreement that they've...
No,
I mean, aside from Craig...
No, they're a fantastic club and they should keep their status in the Premier League.
See,
They do a lot for the community.
gonna get in trouble
They do what they need to do.
I personally found Pep's attitude about this whole thing quite.
He dragged Stevie G in for no
Mate,
reason.
when you start like slagging Steve, was it our fault, mate? You just don't want people looking into your achievements in a different way and thinking, but let's be real here. You had Klopp outgunned every fucking season. You spent more money than Klopp in every second. So
We're also supposed to believe that Pep doesn't think something's wrong. Like, an intelligent man came into that football club and all of a sudden, oh yeah, this is all normal. This is absolutely fine. No, nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see.
yeah, I found Pep's attitude disappointing. He could have just said, look, I trust the chairman, and I'm gonna leave it in the hands of the chairman. He didn't have to like get all, and the fact that he got all aggressive showed he knows. And that's why he's throwing Steven Gerrard under the bus, as if it's our fault.
He's
or what.
projecting. He knows he's defending something that's indefensible.
Pep knows fine well that he was very fortunate to have Klopp have a bigger wallet than Klopp did that entire time. Otherwise, things would have been very different.
Very.
For me,
but Klopp still spent money, though. Liverpool have still gone out and spent big money, is my
you
point.
said, what would we want to happen punishment-wise with Manchester City? Well, first and foremost, I don't think anybody wants the titles handed back.
No.
I don't think, and I don't want it as a Liverpool fan. You as a United fan, you don't want it. I want a big asterisk there. I want everyone to know, why was there no league winner that year? Well, this is why there's no league winner that year, because City were cheating scumbags. That's why there's no league winner. I also want...
Do you believe they were cheating?
Oh, 100%. I mean, right back from the Spiegel articles all the way through, they've been so brazen about it.
Their performances weren't cheating, though. They just had to go on the pitch and do what they did.
No, but they would not be allowed to buy those players if it wasn't for.
I understand what
That's
you're
what
saying.
it is. And more importantly, right, if they weren't cheating, then why were they hiding the records from the Premier League?
Yeah, but can I also say, just because you have the players, right, and I'm not like totally disputing what you're saying, but just because you have the players doesn't mean that you're going to go out and do that. You still need a manager that's capable
you're right.
of knitting them together, playing with a
I
philosophy.
don't think anyone's questioning how great that City side were. We're just
But they
questioning
had
the
an
means.
unfair advantage. That's not a fair sport.
And look,
if you get
the thing that
unfair
gets me
financial
is
advantage.
they were handed a stadium. They don't even have the jeopardy of paying for a stadium. They were handed a stadium.
So was West Ham.
Yeah, but that's West Ham, you know.
No, I'm just saying they're not the only team.
Yeah.
Like, that ain't got anything to do with the financial
I think
situation.
the best punishment for Man City, which would be for next season to have like a 15-point deduction. That's the only way. I think that's.
Here's the thing.
Why not this season?
We haven't talked about what happens
I
at the
just
other clubs.
Do you really want to win the league on a? Oh yeah.
I want to win the league, mate. That's what I want.
I wouldn't win it on that.
There's no way, if City are found guilty, there's no way Liverpool, Man United, Spurs, Chelsea all sit back and don't sue them. There were laws. This is going to open up a whole lot of litigation because people were denied. People grew up playing football to get to a stage where they can challenge for league titles. And if that was taken away from them because of Manchester City's potential cheating, it opens up a whole case of worms. This is huge. This is potentially one of the biggest scandals the sport has ever seen.
The idea that Manchester City are making 50 million a year more than Man United in sponsorships when Man United are like the biggest club, it's just... Make it make sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's ludicrous.
They can't even fill their stadium for crying out loud. So like,
But they keep extending it.
Yeah. The same way you can get like deep fakes now and all this. I reckon we're gonna get to a point where Man City just gonna like CGI.
You lot ain't even want to.
CGI fans.
Bro, look how far away the crowd is. Yeah, you're telling me you won't be able to get a production team to put people in the crowd and make it look full. We're not far off that.